You've probably heard this line before.
Iran has never given up its quest for nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them.
2021.
That's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin
That was
Netanyahu
2021.
has been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having...
But he does have kind of a cool CD collection, eh? I mean, yeah, love him or hate him.
I mean, it looks pretty unwieldy. I always used to carry them around in a wallet.
Yeah, maybe.
Been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having...
Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fast forward to 2002. Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
The invasion happens months later.
Yeah.
No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq. This is a fragment of a 2009 U.S. State Department cable released by WikiLeaks. Netanyahu tells members of Congress that Iran is 1 or 2 years away from being capable of developing nuclear weapons.
Good grief.
It's 2012, and Netanyahu is holding up his infamous cartoon bomb at the UN General Assembly.
By next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
And now, 33 years after Netanyahu's first so-called imminent warning, Israel attacks Iran.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
That's despite the U.S. Director of National Intelligence saying Iran isn't building a nuclear weapon months earlier.
Iran lied.
But for Netanyahu,
Big time.
the slogan has been the same for decades.
Madness. Like that's madness. That should be disqualifying to listen to this guy about Iran and nuclear weapons. I mean, I think most of the Western world would agree they don't want to see Iran having nuclear weapons. I think most would say. But to have Israel actually lie about it so much to try and draw the West into a war with them, it's like, and the best way that we were keeping nuclear weapons away from Iran was through the treaty that Trump pulled us out of, or pulled the West out of, and that's been the thing that has kept them incapable of doing the thing that Netanyahu's been lying about for 33 years.
Yeah, so Iran signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Iran has allowed atomic energy inspectors, UN inspectors, through their facilities multiple times. Israel never has. Never signed, has never confirmed that they have nukes, but everybody knows that they have. They have somewhere between 75 and 400 warheads. So they're the only nuclear-armed Middle Eastern state, and they're one that seems to, on the regular, attack its neighbours unilaterally, because they're bankrolled and armed by the most militarily powerful country on the globe, and nobody ever pulls their chain. Like, why all these stories of Netanyahu saying, well, we did this because they're literally weeks away from having the bomb? None of those headlines preface it by putting genocidal war criminal Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that these guys are the bad guys. And I'm really concerned by the tone of the stories that I'm reading. It feels like the start of the Iraq War. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stories out there in the military websites talking about, well, if America was going to get involved, this is how we do it, and this is what Iran has done to justify this, and the people of Iran are crying for freedom, and they want us to do it. The war drum is definitely beating.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, remember, for the last 3-4 years, America has kind of like, wow, we can't get involved in Iraq, in Ukraine. You know, when they got invaded by Russia, oh, we can't instigate this. We can't, make things worse by getting involved. But here they are, right at the edge, standing behind Israel as they kick open the door. And they were there at the drop of a hat. So those questions about how much money did Ted Cruz get from AIPAC, why would a Texas senator be calling for the invasion of a major oil producing state? It's like watching a train crash in slow motion and nobody's listening.
I tell you what, Quirky, which is a great name, Kiwi, Quirky, it's actually said exactly what I was going to say as I finished up my last rant. Like, I've used this story to my children. If you continually lie, children, then when you're telling the truth, I will struggle to believe you.